Welcome to Business with the Donos, where we talk about family, business, and everything in between. I'm your host, Jade Dono, and I'm here with my dad, Paul Dono. And today, and Matilda is here as well. Probably the only time you're going to want her here, because soon she'll be crying in the background. Or hopefully not, hopefully sleeping. But yeah, this week is all about how to reclaim your time to be able to plan your business.
Or not play golf.
Or play golf. Depends.
Okay.
You can use your time as you wish.
Okay.
But a bit of strategic planning probably wouldn't go amiss either. So you probably want to just make more time.
Yeah.
You can strategically plan on the golf course.
Well, there's a lot of thinking time on the golf course.
Yes, I'm sure that there is, as you
Just
walk
saying.
to get your ball. Walk to get your ball. So one thing I think that we find is a lot of business owners work a huge amount of hours and they end up doing a lot of tasks that are probably not worth their time. So I've put that they're doing like a £15 an hour task when their actual strategy where they get £500 an hour is sitting there gathering dust, and they're not doing anything on that, and they're doing the small jobs.
Yeah, but that is a typical small business mentality, isn't it?
Yes.
And it does take a while to get into the thought process of, what is my return on investment?
Yeah.
Because, every penny counts. But equally, time does count too. So if you can earn the time, earn it, why not pay someone to do the bits you don't want to do?
Exactly, but a lot of people would just say, oh, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
But if you've got a strategy that is going to pay you that extra, then surely it's worth taking a risk and paying that person to do that £15 an hour bit of work.
I think I read a book. Actually, I lent it to Dan Pilly. He hasn't given it back yet.
Oh, how rude.
Yeah, hope he's listening. Give me my book back, Dan. But it's by a guy called, funny enough, Dan Martell.
Oh.
And it's called Buy Back Your Time. And that is actually this entire topic.
Ah.
Buying back your time.
Buying back your time. And it is really, really important, because every single business owner that we talk, I don't think there's any exception, has no time.
No.
Like,
No.
we'll say do this, and they'll say, I don't have time.
Don't have time for that. Yeah, especially around marketing.
Yeah, especially around marketing.
They'll come in and go, oh, we haven't got any work, blah, 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 blah. We'll say, okay, what marketing have you done? We haven't got time for that. Or, okay, but you haven't got any work. So don't you think that marketing should come in and pay someone to do it, especially social media? But again, most people drop that when they are busy.
Yeah, well, we do. I mean, it's a definite thing that we do. We haven't done the podcast the last 2 weeks.
No.
And why is that?
We have some time.
We haven't had time. So we are not.
And you're growing a human.
And I'm growing a human. I think you tell me that regularly, actually. But okay.
Growing a human, Dad.
One thing that I read in making the topic for this week is that, and I'd heard this before from Daniel Priestley, I've mentioned him a few times, he's really great. It's that actually 80% of what you do actually only comes from 20% of what you're doing, which I think is really interesting. And this is with your clients. So you're probably making your money from the top 20% of your clients and probably not a lot from the bottom 80. Your productivity, you're normally 20% of your effort contributes towards 80% of your completed work. Software, if you fix 20% of the bugs, it can eliminate 80% of system crashes. And I put a normal life one in here, that 80% of the time you wear about 20% of your wardrobe.
Right.
And it's a thing.
I tidied my wardrobe up the other week.
You did, didn't you?
And it was like going shopping all over again. I found things I didn't even know I had.
Exactly, you're just proving the point.
Yeah. They're all on the same type of hanger. They all look nice.
Wow, you're such
all
a girl.
All the proper wooden hangers, so they all look nice. Yeah.
That's good. I had to buy maternity clothes, and I wasn't very happy about it. But it's okay.
Is that because you're a grown human?
It is, yeah. It is. So yeah, I think that's really interesting to think about, that only 20% of what you're doing is actually making an impact.
I think you can apply the 80-20 rule to a lot of things, but yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of people just sort of, I mean, I'm the world's worst to procrastinate, but you do kind of get stuck on stuff you don't really need to do. Mm-hmm. And, you know, some people sort of, I know people have laughed at me about buying my robot lawnmower. But they have laughed at me on that.
They have.
But to cut my grass takes me about half an hour.
Yep.
At least 2 or 3 times a week.
Yep.
That's an hour and a half.
Yes.
Now I press a button. And I've even pressed a button from a beach in Mexico.
You have, although it did get stuck and me and Josh had to go around and rescue the lawnmower.
It was screaming. But that's another good example of something to deal with your time. And if you add that, if I add that in hours and my charge out rate, I could have an army of robot lawnmowers.
Well, yeah,
but
exactly.
They will get stuck, so I wouldn't do that.
No, you don't need an army, you only need the one.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
But that is something that helps me buy my time back.
Yeah. I've got a robot hoover. Mop.
You have? Who was that?
You did.
Yeah.
For Christmas. It was a Christmas present, and it is a really good Christmas present. Mm. And Herbie, we've called him Herbie the Hoover, hoovers every night. And now I don't have to.
And mops the floor.
And mops the floor.
Yeah. So how much does that save you in time?
Loads.
Well, not a lot, because you didn't really do much with it, yeah.
I did. Thank you very much. It does save me in time, although now I do forget to do all the other jobs. Yeah, but I think people as well naturally gravitate towards those easy tasks because, like, for example, for the hoovering, you do it, you feel like you've achieved something from doing the hoovering. Whereas if you've got in your business, like, you might have your strategy plan and the thing that's really high value that you need to do, it might be a lot harder. A lot harder task for you to do. So you're filling up your time doing the admin stuff, feeling really productive, but really you're not doing the bit that's important.
But sometimes it's a harder task because it's a task that you probably don't know what to do. And I know, sort of reading, you know, Richard Branson's books, you know, he always says he surrounds himself with people that are better than him.
Yeah.
He's just a really good leader. So at the end of the day, you know, he's got people that are, you know, lawyers, accountants, social media, whatever he's got around him, are much more better than what he can do it. But he just puts them together. But how many business owners do we have? Well, especially now, ChatGPT's there. But, you know, go in and go, right, I want to do this, and this is what it says. You know, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to spend 4 days on that when I could spend 400 quid on someone to do it for me.
Yeah.
I just find it incredible sometimes what some people do. And I know, you know, we are where we are, but, you know, outsourcing, you look at, you know, outsourcing bookkeeping, those mundane stuff. I mean, the amount of people we see that do their own bookkeeping and then get a bill at the end of the year because it's rubbish. They're not good at it, but they spend hours on it. Hours.
Yep.
I mean, you know, I've got a relation that spends all their time bookkeeping. But you just think, really? I just like, why?
Yeah, I've got another example here as well.
Was that a rant?
That was a bit of a rant.
It was a rant.
It was a rant. But it is true, and people do it because they know how to do it, they're comfortable with it, it's the way they've always done it. And it's moving on to something that's more valuable and harder is a struggle. It's a shift in mindset, and it's a shift in what you have to do, and it's often your frog. I say that as well, you should always eat your frog, which means doing the tasks you don't like first. Otherwise, they will sit on your list forever. Yeah. If you're making those sorts of strategy plans and plans to move forward and having those business goals, you're never going to achieve them if you just do things the way you've always done them. Yeah. My example was if you had a cafe and then the cafe owner was spending 4 hours a day washing dishes instead of negotiating better rates with the coffee bean suppliers, you can then see how yes, the washing dishes is important. You need to wash the dishes. But that negotiation skill, somebody who you could pay a little less, get them in to wash the dishes, it's gonna save you more money in the long run, because then you can do that more high value job. Like negotiation, the prices.
Yeah, and you look at, I know we've always said that admin's really important.
Yeah.
We got people that, if they did charge by the hour, which we don't, not in all cases, but the admin's so important.
It
so
is.
important, and it just takes that job away from people, like money laundering, etc. Which not actually physical money laundering, the checks that we have to do for the anti-money laundering procedures. But we've always spent good money on admin, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
To give the jobs that people just don't want to do.
Exactly, so they can focus on what they do. Yeah, that's exactly how we've done it in our business. The accountants don't do the admin side of stuff. They still do their emails and whatnot, but even that's monitored by our admin team.
How many accountants have we spoken to? And we do speak to a lot of accountants. That go, oh yeah, I've got to get me engagement letter out, and I've got to get this out, and I've got to do that, and I've got to raise me invoices. Why on earth are they doing it?
Yeah, well, there's loads that have said to you, like, oh well, I don't have a Jane. They've loads
absolutely.
that have said that to you, and it's like, well, why don't you get one?
Yeah, and but the way they say it is though that you're free.
I know.
It's like, really? Okay, but we have you on board so that I don't have to do a lot of stuff that I don't want to do. Now you don't want to do it, and you've got someone else.
It's true. Well, it's more like I got too much of it to do.
Well, yeah, but yeah.
No. So in terms of people wanting to calculate what their hourly rate should be, how would they go about doing that?
Well, we've always worked on an hourly rate. Our profession's by hourly rate.
Yeah. So
traditionally, sort of 4 to 5 times what you pay someone is the hourly rate. So you take their gross salary, don't worry about NI and all that stuff, although you should roll it, now it's 15%. But you take their gross salary, divide it by the number of weeks in a year, 52, times it by 5, times it by 5. And divide it by 37.5 being the hours a week. That gives you your hourly rate, and that's your charge hour rate. So basically that's it. So, my charge out, I worked out the other day that anything under sort of £25-30 an hour is worth me considering paying someone to do.
There you go.
And kind of looked at it like that, sort of, no, there are some things in the house that I would like to be able to pay for, from my point of view, to free up my time a bit more, like gardener and what have you. But, we do have people clean the windows, we've got the robot lawnmower, the robot hoover thing and what have you. So maybe there is a case for people to say, actually, if I'm really, really busy, why not pay for a gardener? Why not pay for a handy person to come in and, do the odd jobs? Because I don't like them.
No.
They normally cost me more money to do.
Well, probably, yeah.
Especially if I've got, blinds, like your blinds. Did you do them?
No, but that was after we tried. There is a hole up there, if you can see.
But you're no good at it, are you?
No.
How long did it take Josh to do that and make that hole?
A while.
Yeah. So there you go, rest my case.
Oh yeah, we ended up getting a handyman in.
Yeah.
Who did it?
Handy Dan.
Handy Dan. Well, it wasn't Dan.
He's got my book.
Yeah. But yeah, they came in and did it much quicker and much neater than we would.
So, that's the way I took it. Do you wash your car?
No.
Does someone else wash it?
Yes.
Not
They actually
not
do.
very often, but it is actually clean. I'm looking, but these are things that you pay for that free your time. And in business was the same. Do we look after our own IT?
No.
No. So someone else looks after our IT. Could we look after our IT?
Probably.
How long would that take? Hours.
Yeah, a lot longer.
So we got someone else that does that. Mm-hmm. Why not?
Same with our HR.
HR, yep. Do we do HR? No. Someone else will come in, they look after the team, etc., etc. Absolutely works a treat.
It does. And I think it is looking into that. And also identifying what your high value 20% of what you're doing that is high value, because you will be doing some things that are high value. You won't be doing everything.
Yeah.
Not. And it's identifying what those are and then really leaning into that.
But doesn't that also go for customers?
Yeah.
So, why work for, we've got some people in our books who have worked for people for years and years and years, but are really scared about putting their prices up. And actually, when you worked it out, it's almost cost effective to pay someone else to go and do it for you. But they haven't put their prices up and doesn't reflect current market. And you just think, well, okay, you need to look at that. You need to spend time to analyse that and look at that.
Yeah.
And deal with that. Because especially with the way if you're employing people, you've got to factor in those costs now. And there's so many of our clients are so scared of putting their prices up that if you want good people to work for you and you want a good service and you want the holidays, etc., and a bit of time off with the family, then you've got to look at that as well. But you need the time and the space to be able to do that strategy.
Well, exactly. And it is identifying what the high value stuff is that you're doing, which also could be because it's your business, could be in terms of relationship building, it could be the high level sales, sort of maybe product innovation, partnerships with people. Like, it's all those sorts of things that potentially you don't see as high value. Maybe you really enjoy going networking or something like that, and you're like, well, that's not really working, but that is the value that you're bringing. If you're getting customers from that or building the relationships from that, that's really important. And I think people devalue that because they're not working on the tasks.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And there is I'll go back to my robot lawnmower, say the amount of people that have said, oh, that's lazy. Well, it's not. It's quite smart, really. But, I mean, you look at, you've had someone to come in and do your carpet, haven't you?
Yeah.
They're going to put your carpet in. So they're going to come yesterday, weren't they?
Yeah, well, they're going to come this week, yeah.
Why didn't they come?
They forgot to order the stuff.
So that is a whole job for them that you might, if you didn't know this person, which you do,
yes.
But if you didn't know this person, you might go, wow, ridiculous. I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because they forgot to order the job. So that person is fitting the carpets, doing the quotes, putting the diesel in the vehicle.
Yeah.
They're doing all that work.
They're overwhelmed.
And they forgot the one thing they need to do is order the carpet that goes on the floor for the job they're doing that week that they've scheduled in that week.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But it is because they're overwhelmed with tasks.
Yeah.
They've probably spent ages doing a load of stuff they didn't need to, and then forgotten about poor Matilda's floor.
Yeah, and they're probably doing the bookkeeping, aren't they? They're probably arranging everything. I know they've got a few people work for them. They're probably arranging all that as well. Probably doing all of that, and then you forget.
Yeah.
How many small business owners are in that bracket?
Mm-hmm. A lot.
Yeah.
And I think as well, I've put on here as well about spotting when you're doing tasks that actually contribute nothing towards the business. Because there will be tasks that you're doing that do nothing. And you're doing it for the sake of it, just to feel productive.
Yeah.
And we've seen that a lot. People will say.
I think we all probably do it as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's worth identifying when you're doing it. And you might think, oh, yeah, but that is really important. But it's probably not.
No.
It's probably not essential. And also, for those 20% times when you want to really hone in on the valuable stuff that you're doing, do it when you're at your most energetic. Like, if you work best in the morning, schedule it to do in the morning. If you work best in the evening, schedule it to do in the evening. Like, make sure you're making the time for it, because if you start doing the little tasks, you'll just do those all day.
Yeah. I'm most productive in the morning.
Me too.
Between 9 o'clock and 2 minutes past 9.
That sounds about right. Wow. I know we've banged on about automating things as well a lot on this podcast. However, it fits hand in hand here as well.
Yeah.
Some of those pointless jobs you're doing, you can probably get a piece of software or AI to do it.
Or also ask people.
Yeah.
You know, even people in your own sort of like, you know, business, profession, what have you, ask them. Ask what other people are doing.
Yeah.
And sort of
absolutely.
understand it, you know, and go from there. And then, you know, well, especially now the way you think like your lovable AI, that will, you know, create a lot of tasks, a lot of things that would help people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if you had a little checklist that would help you, you know, take that carpet fitter the other day, you know, checklist, order the goods.
Well, yeah, could make a very basic bit of software for him to keep on track.
Yeah. Send quote, customer accepts quote, book in, order goods. Simples.
Done. Tick.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely worth looking at what software can fill those gaps.
Yeah.
Because it's just, it could help so much.
It can.
You don't have to do things the way you've always done them. So yeah, and then I've written down here about sort of valuing your admin team.
Absolutely. I mean, admin is really, 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 really important.
Yeah.
Even answering the phones. There are services out there that will answer the phone for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it might cost a couple of quid, but if they get a job that you would never have got before because you've answered the phone, they can even send the quote out for you, or, you know, certainly an appointment or something for, you know, a very small investment.
Well, exactly. You can get rid of these little tasks that you're filling your time with.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
It just might cost you a little bit, but you'll probably make that money back, especially if you're repurposing your time to do more of those 20% tasks.
Yeah. You'll from experience over all these many years of in business, you will definitely get your money back.
Yes.
And some.
I've written down here as well that there's another thing people say, which is it's faster, I can just do it myself.
Oh yeah, especially if you're trying to delegate to team members. I could do that myself. Why would I want to spend time doing that?
Yeah. But that's not a long-term mindset. That's very short-term. It's not going to help you out long-term.
Yeah.
And yes, it might be more painful to delegate at first.
Yeah.
It might take you a little bit more time at first.
Yeah.
But not for the long term.
Absolutely. Yeah. What was it? The saying about you know, you can give a person a fish, you know, and they can feed their family, but you can teach them to fish and they can feed them all year.
Exactly.
See?
And this is the thing. And there's so many.
Today,
you are.
Woo.
There's so many tools as well you can use now to help you to train people. Like you've got Loom, so you can record your training session so that you don't have to repeat what you've said. You've got tools where you can make training manuals. You've got tools where you can have like different tasks so that people know exactly what they're doing and when. And so you don't have to spend huge amounts of time training.
Unless it's me.
Unless it's you. Doesn't listen.
Sorry.
That was awful. But so another thing you can apply the 80-20 rule to is your client list or your customer base. Yeah. And this is an interesting one, and this is one that people are really scared to do. It is likely that your top customers are only in the 20%.
Yeah.
The ones you're making the most money from are in the top 20%. The rest of the other 80%, you're probably not, they're probably not giving you that much. So it's worth looking at that and seeing what to do about it. Maybe you need to, the bottom 10%, maybe you need to just ditch them.
Yeah.
Maybe those top 20% you need to nurture even more.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to drag a few more. Maybe some of the ones that are in that 70% bracket, you need to push a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it's worth really identifying who they are and how to deal with that.
And it's really nice, you know, it's been a few years now, but it's really nice to be in a position where, you know, you can say no.
Yeah.
And you're not really worried about saying no. What was it? Blimey, crikey. Was it 4 or 5 years ago, we refused to take on a tax return only client, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Then obviously we've got Josh on board, so we're taking on tax return only clients now. But but those with a little bit more complex tax issues. But, you know, we made a decision that actually we weren't making any money
Yeah, and we
in
wasn't.
that area. So, you know, you take, for argument's sake, a window cleaner that charges 10 quid to do, you know, someone's house. By the time you got there, unreeled all your hose pipe and all that sort of stuff. It's not worth it, is it?
No.
You know, and you just think, well, what's the point? Why do it for that sort of money?
Yeah.
So maybe look at something like that, and you know, when we had, you know, we didn't do it because we helped someone to get on the ladder in their profession, but you could look at that client base and go, actually, there's 50 customers that I go to regularly that I don't need anymore, so I'll sell them.
Yeah, you could
Give
do
you a
that.
bit of money in your bank, in your business, to be able to, you know, progress forward.
Yeah.
These are things you can do.
Yeah, they
But
are.
you need the time to think about that.
And this is part of your 20% strategic thinking. You need the time to be able to do that. Otherwise, you will just spend forever just doing things that aren't making you any money.
Absolutely.
Or aren't fulfilling. Because it might be that you want to do a certain job that isn't making you any money because it gives you other things. Like, it might be a really nice thing to do for something. I know we do a couple of charity things that we would keep. But, like, you've got to really weigh up what you're doing and say no to things that aren't worth it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one action that you can do after listening to this podcast is every Friday find one task that you do every week that provides no value that you could just stop doing. And stop.
Trying to think of one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one as well. Well, there probably is one.
Mine's the garden.
Yours is the garden.
Yeah, I know it's not
Okay.
business related, but it does create time. I really would like someone to come in and spend
There you go.
an hour or two a week in the garden, just to tidy it up. And I love the garden. And
You
what have
do.
but I just haven't got the time for it.
Well, maybe that's what you need to do. Just stop that.
I think we'll consider it later in the year.
Okay.
It's on my plan.
It's on your plan. So one example I've got here, and this is a small thing. So maybe you've got a customer that doesn't pay you very much at all, but calls you every day, and you spend a half hour on the phone for them every day, every other day maybe. They soak up your time, and you don't get the return.
Yeah.
Maybe you politely let them go.
Yeah. Or put your prices up.
Or put your prices up. Yeah, either way.
A lot.
Exactly, but maybe you sort that out.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So we as well at One Accounts, we obviously end up doing stuff we shouldn't as well.
Absolutely.
So we probably need to take our own advice and
We do.
and look at the 20%. However, I think this is something business owners really should look into and make sure they are making the time for strategic planning and making sure that not even just the planning, strategic implementing. Because most
Absolutely.
people are quite good at planning. When we talk to them, like lots of people have goals and what they want to do, what they want to achieve, but then they just can't get there because they haven't implemented the plans that they've put together.
Oh, I can't do it next month because this is happening. I can't do it that month because that's happening.
Yeah.
Just do it.
So just do it. Take this as your sign to just do it.
That'd be a good slogan for a sports brand.
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe they should take our advice.
I think they should.
So yeah, that leads us into our unfiltered minute.
Okie
Mine was going to be that we got the pram at the weekend.
Ah.
Woo! So we got a bugaboo pram that folds very easily. So I have seen. Yeah, and it was very fun. We went to Mamas and Puffers. We had a full appointment where they showed us all the different things. Yeah, it was a nice day out.
Cool.
That was it.
Do you know what my unfiltered minute is?
What?
How flipping expensive are prams.
They're really
So
expensive.
who paid for the pram?
You did.
Yeah. And it's like the Rolls Royce of prams, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And it is so expensive.
Prams are expensive, everybody. If anyone's thinking of having a baby, prams are expensive.
Mum said, well, it's not as expensive as your golf trolley. Well, actually, it was.
Oh,
It was
okay.
more expensive than my golf trolley, which is the top of the range Stewart remote control golf trolley.
Well,
Yeah.
well then.
But then Matilda really does need to, start the world how I mean to go on.
Exactly. She needs the bouginess.
So yes, yeah, but it's not just for it. I mean, it's
No.
It's got a carry cop thingy.
There's a whole bundle.
It's got a cup holder.
It has got a cup holder, a bag,
A bag. A car seat.
car seat.
Yeah.
Yep.
All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and it's got the attachment for like the newborn bit on the pram.
And what happened when we bought it? What did Mum say? Oh, we
She
need one
wants
for
one.
our house. Like, not that one. Not like this. So there you go. So yes, that's my unfiltered minute. Is how blooming expensive is a pram?
Yeah, it's good business to get into because I think I've only seen mamas and papas really offering those sorts of buying for baby appointments, and it's the pram market is overwhelming. If you look online, you don't know what you're buying. You don't know why you're spending the money.
But as a small business owner, there was one area that was really strange, wasn't it? So they sell that product, and John Lewis, who is next door, sell the same product.
Yeah.
And what did they say to us? Because we wanted to look at something that they didn't have.
I said, go to John Lewis.
Go to John Lewis and have a look.
Yeah.
I mean, if we'd have gone to John Lewis and if it was cheaper, which it was not really cheaper, what would we have done? We'd have bought it in John Lewis. So as a business owner, why on earth would you do that?
I don't know.
I know these people are employees of the business, but I would never ever tell anyone to go down the road to someone else in our industry just for a second opinion because they've got a blue pen and we've only got black.
Yeah. It doesn't really make any sense. But John Lewis didn't have it anyway, did they?
No.
I think as well, the whole appointment thing, they've advertised it online as being like a little sit down, you get like a drink and a bit of love, and it wasn't actually like that. It was still very good. The lady was very knowledgeable, which is what you need, but you didn't get like a glass of water or...
Glass of water, no, you can't drink wine.
No, I can't have any bubbles or anything. But like, you didn't get that that sort of customer service that it was sort of advertised as, and I was quite excited to have that sort of...
Yeah, well, you are a lovey.
I do like that sort of lovey experience.
Princess Jade.
But I think they could make some very small tweaks, and everyone would go there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, maybe not everyone, because it was still very expensive in mamas and papas, which is why I think there's a gap in the market here for the buying for baby appointments.
Yep, there you go.
There you go. If you're thinking of a business idea, there's one for free. Anyway, I think that's everything.
I think that is.
We will.
Well, Easter's coming up.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter. Have a lovely bank holiday, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.